God does not see you that way. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are not your mistake. You are not what they're saying about you. You are a child of the Most High God. Can you imagine if you really saw yourself the way God sees you? Not through the mistake you made, not through the thing that you even did a minute ago. You have got to come out of believing you are what they say about you. You are what God says about you.
Yes! I come to praise Him. Watch me praise Him too. He is worthy.
You know, so many of us spend our lives trying to fix what God already called finished. Can you imagine if you really saw yourself the way God sees you? Not through your mistakes, not through your past, not through your indiscretions, not through your divorce, not through the debt, not through what society says about you, not through what people say about you, not through even what your parents have labeled you, but through the eyes of a loving creator who handcrafted you with purpose, with detail, with divine intentions. You are something special, but you got to believe that. You know, we compare ourselves, we criticize, we shrink back, forgetting the same God who spoke galaxies into existence also spoke you into being. Why do you believe what people are saying about you? Why are you allowing it to oppress you and push you down? Why? You are what God says about you. Psalms 139:14 says, I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well. That means every part of you, every mistake, every indiscretion, every sin, your personality, your voice, your smile, even the parts that you wish you could change. Many of us want to change our weight. We want to change the way we look. We go get cosmetic surgery. We go work out. We go to the gym. You were designed with purpose. You were designed. God had you in mind when He created all of heaven and earth. God didn't rush when He made you. He didn't make a mistake. You are not an accident. And although many times our parents try to say because they weren't planning to have us, oh, you were a mistake, I didn't want you, blah, blah, blah. You know that now as an adult. But can I tell you, it is only God who gives life. So you are not a mistake. You are a divine expression of God's creativity. And sometimes we look in the mirror only to see the flaws. We put on makeup to cover up things. Men put on these now men wigs. They put on all this stuff to fill in their beard when you see them white lines. And you could tell it's black makeup, right? But God looks at you and He sees function. He sees destiny wrapped in skin. He sees potential waiting to be revealed. Do you believe that about you? The enemy's great tactic is to distort our reflection, to convince us that who we are is not enough. And he uses people a lot of, if he can bombard our thoughts and our mind with trying to make us feel like we're less than, he will use people to try to judge us, to try to speak against us, to try to tell us what we cannot be. But I need you in this moment, my brother and my sister, to believe you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are something. You can do all things through Christ. Yes, you have anointing. Yes, you have gifts. Yes, you have talents. If you begin to doubt your worth, the enemy can distract you from your purpose. So stop letting him get in your ear with that foolishness. You got to see yourself from the lens of the way God sees you. You were created in His image. When you begin to walk in the truth of who you are, that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, you start to smile. You start to silence the lies of the enemy. You begin to stand taller with your shoulders held high. You stop apologizing for existence. You stop apologizing for the things that you decide to do with your life because you realize, wait, God didn't make a mistake by making me. He made me for a mission. He made me for purpose. God has a design for my life. God's goal was never for you to be perfect. And you got to stop allowing people to make you feel like in order to have value, in order to have worth, you need to be perfect. You don't need to be. You can be loved in the state that you're in. You can accomplish great things in the state that you're in. What does God say in His word? He chooses the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. So even with your mistakes, even with your indiscretions, even with your past, God can still use you. It was for you to be purposeful that God designed you. So you don't have to have it all together to be used by God. Stop thinking that you do. Stop thinking that you have to have all the things that society says you have to have in order to be successful. Remember Moses? Moses stuttered. David fell. Rahab had a past. She was a prostitute. But God still called and used them. He loved them. Why do you not think that God can still use you and call you to something great? So the next time the enemy starts trying to play little thoughts about, but didn't you do that last night? Didn't you make that mistake? You're a felon. You're a thief. Your mom and daddy didn't even want you. You're not enough. Say to the enemy, I am enough. I am created in the image of the Most High God. And remember who made you. Remember who you are. The potter doesn't question the clay. The clay trusts the potter, and we are the clay, and God is the potter. And the same hands that shaped the mountains shaped you. The same hands that formed the world and spoke worlds into existence, he spoke you into existence. So can you imagine what your life would look like if you really believe that? If you stop comparing chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20, you are not what they say. You cannot be that person. You have your own DNA, your own blueprint, your own fingertips, your own fingerprint. So stop trying to compare yourself. Stop trying to let people put you in a box. People will always try to put us in a box of saying what we can accomplish, what we can be. They look at your mistake. Well, I don't know if you could do that. You know, I am a convicted theft felon in my past. And if I allowed, people would try to limit me to what I can and cannot do. My email is above limitation. And you know why? Because I don't allow people to limit what God can do through me. I see myself as what God sees me as. I am anointed. I am gifted. And I know that I can do all things through Christ. And I don't let people limit me. I don't let people get in my head. When I open my business, you know how many people would tell me, well, girl, you don't have no business experience. You just an accountant. You only have a CPA. Well, you know what? In your books, that might be. In your eyes, that might be. But I'm not going to let you limit me. If you woke up tomorrow and said, Lord, thank you for making me exactly who I am and who you call me to be. Teach me to see myself through your eyes. Teach me to see myself as gifted, as talented, as whole, as delivered, as set free, as purposeful. Because I want you to know this, my sister and brother. Confidence in God's design is not arrogance. And people would try to say you arrogant because you see yourself the way God sees you. It's agreement with what God has said about you. When you agree with God about who you are, you step into freedom. You step into wholeness. You step into something that God can elevate you in. You start walking like someone who knows they are chosen. They are valued. They are loved. Will you walk like that today? So today I want you to know this. Speak this over yourself. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am not a mistake. I am not defined by my past. I am not defined by yesterday. I am God's masterpiece. Can you imagine what would happen if you truly believe that about yourself? So stop living small and start living in the full picture of who God created you to be. As the masterpiece that you already are, go out and start that business. Go out and do what God is calling you to do. Stop letting experts and people and the enemy get in your head telling you what you can't be and what you can't accomplish. That's not what God says about you. That's what they say. But what do you say? What do you say about yourself? Do you believe that you're fearfully and wonderfully made? Do you believe that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you? Do you believe that? Can you imagine? Can you imagine if you just saw yourself from the lens that God sees you from? I pray that this encourages you to get up, rise up, and be who God called you to be. I want you to know God can use you even with that mistake, even with your past, even with your failures. Nobody has authority to call you who God has not called you. You are a child of the Most High God. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Go and possess all that God has called you to. You are chosen. Can you imagine if you believe that? Be blessed, my sister and brother. And if this message spoke to you, I want you to put down in the comments, I can imagine. Be blessed. Shalom.